I'm Sandra. I'd been through a divorce. The reason for the divorce? The all too common affair. My ex-husband told me he got his mistress pregnant, and we parted ways after I received a small settlement. People say divorce takes more energy than marriage, and they're right. I was emotionally drained. Maybe it's because I have fertility issues. He never liked the idea of fertility treatments. I thought I'd naturally have kids someday. But after 2 years, it didn't happen. When I got checked at the OBGYN, it turned out I was the one with the issue. My ex-husband wanted kids, but he always complained about the fertility treatments, saying, "Why should I be embarrassed for you?" So when I found out he got someone else pregnant, I was devastated and decided I didn't want to be married anymore. But as time passed, 6 months, a year, I started to feel better. I threw myself into my work, got some certifications, and my income increased significantly. Financial stability led to emotional stability, and my shattered self-esteem started to recover. I live alone in an apartment now, and I could live like this for the rest of my life. But sometimes, I do feel lonely. Everyone around me seems happy, and all I have is my job. I thought about moving back to my rural hometown, but my brother has taken over the family home, and he has a wife and kids. There's no job for me there. So I give up on the idea of actively seeking marriage. Then, at some point, a man caught my eye. He's now my husband. He's a junior colleague at work. Michael was also interested in me and confessed his feelings, but I turned him down. He's 5 years younger, and I had no plans to marry. But when I caught a bad cold and had a high fever, I felt unbearably lonely. What if my condition worsens and I die alone? I felt anxious and wished someone was there with me. I strongly felt the need for a family. After all, the problem was with my ex-husband, and I also want kids. If I have a trustworthy partner to share my life with, I might not feel so vulnerable. I had turned down Michael's confession. But when he texted me, "Sandra, are you okay? If you can't move, I'll bring you something," I thought maybe he's the one. We started dating, and things went smoothly despite the age difference. But his parents were strongly against it. Michael is a first-timer in marriage. I have a history of divorce. I'm in my 40s and have fertility issues. All the reasons for them to dislike me. His father said,
"If you can't have kids, what about the family legacy?"
But Michael declared,
"I'm not marrying because I want kids. I'm marrying because I love her."
We haven't told his parents, but we do plan on fertility treatments, and Michael is supportive. His sister said, "Why would you marry such a failure? Being divorced is the worst." But Michael defended me, saying,
"If you're going to talk about divorce, what about you? You're back home after your own divorce."
Michael has a sister 9 years older than him. She divorced and has returned home with her 2 elementary school-aged sons. His mother changed the topic, saying, "Well, we have no choice but to accept it. But don't forget to continue supporting us financially. You'll both be working, right?" Double it. I had no idea about this financial support. I wondered what she meant. "Well, what support are you talking about?" Michael explained.
"Our house is new, built just a year before last. It's under Dad's name, and he's borrowed as much as he can. I'm helping with the mortgage because I'll eventually take over. My parents are on a pension, and I'm also helping with their living expenses. It's tough with my sisters too."
"Oh, I see. Are you so serious?" I thought to myself. Right now, I live in an apartment, but does Michael plan on us living together with his family in the future? Well, in my family, the eldest son took over the house, so maybe it's a similar situation. I didn't even know he was contributing to their living expenses. How much is he giving them? How much are you contributing? I hesitantly asked.
With the mortgage, it's about $1,000.
Michael casually replied, making me shudder. His mom said doubling it would be fine, but does she really expect $2,000? Fertility treatments are expensive, and I want to save for our future and for our kids. Before I could say anything, his sister chimed in. Both of you work for top companies and have qualifications. You must be earning well. I can't work because I have kids, so you should help out a bit. Sure, I work full-time and earn a decent salary, but that's the result of my hard work. Why should I be opposed to marriage and then be asked for money? $2,000 is way too much. Your kids are in elementary school, right? And both your parents are home, right? Just a simple question. Why can't you work? The moment I said it, his sister glared at me. Shut your mouth. If I say I can't work, then I can't. Is this what they call going ballistic? Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to upset you. Really, I'm sorry. I apologized, realizing I'd messed up. But my first visit to his family home was a disaster. We left awkwardly and returned to our new apartment. Michael apologized, saying,
My sister has always been strong-willed. I'm really sorry.
But I had other concerns. So, Michael, were you planning on us living with your family in the future?
Well, that was the plan. But now that my sister is back with her kids, it's not feasible.
Apparently, his family home was quite old and even had leaks. A big hurricane about 10 years ago didn't destroy it but did cause some damage. 2 years ago, they reached their limit and rebuilt it as a two-family home per her parents' strong wishes. So, you are paying the mortgage on that house?
Yeah, I plan to live there in the future, but
Michael sighed.
Right after we built it, my sister moved back in. She's using all the rooms, including what would have been our bedroom and the kids' rooms.
Despite living alone in an apartment since college, Michael is contributing financially to a family home he doesn't even live in.
My nephews are at that mischievous age. They draw on the walls and even make holes. I've been letting the automatic withdrawals go on, but as long as my sister is there, there's no place for us. And it's weird that she doesn't work.
Today was the first time Michael realized something was off.
I need to get my act together. I'm getting married after all.
Thank you, Michael. We are a married couple now. Let's talk things through and solve our problems together. We've just remarried. We've talked a lot, but it's natural that there are things we don't know about each other. We grew up in different environments and are different ages. We'll have deeper conversations from now on. We never talked about living together, but since we rented an apartment as our new home, I assume we wouldn't. Michael also no longer plans on it, given the changed circumstances at home.
Still, I plan to keep the automatic withdrawals for now. Even I think $2,000 is ridiculous. My sister could work. My dad could find a job if he looked. Paying for a house I don't live in plus additional support is a bit strange.
Hearing this, I was genuinely relieved that our financial values aligned. Michael immediately called his family home.
Hey, Mom, about the financial support.
I couldn't hear what his mom was saying.
No, you're wrong. I thought it was Strange, not Sandra.
From Michael's replies, it seemed they thought I was the one pushing for changes.
Anyway, not right away, but Dad has a pension, right? He can contribute to the mortgage too,
he said before hanging up. Next days, my mother-in-law called my cell phone. Of course, it was about financial support. What's your problem? This will be your home in the future, she snapped. But your daughter lives there, right? I asked. So what if she does? Well, there's no room for us to live there, so where will we stay in the future? I thought I was asking a reasonable question, but she hung up on me saying, You're so ungrateful. Just give us $2,000 and stop complaining. What does Michael see in a washed-up wife like you? Her anger and choice of words reminded me of her daughter. Like mother, like daughter, I guess. But this is no way to ask for financial help. When I told Michael about the call, he half laughed, half sighed.
Mom called you because she knew I wouldn't listen. But you're easy to rile up, so go ahead. Give her a piece of your mind. Neither of us has any intention of giving them $2,000. Sometime later, we run into someone at our OBGYN clinic.
Is that you, Michael?
A woman asked. Sorry, but who are you?
Michael didn't remember her, but she turned out to be a former elementary school classmate. As they talked, he started to remember.
This is my wife, Sandra.
He introduced me.
Hello, nice to meet you. You're the one who's been divorced and is undergoing fertility treatments, right?
Excuse me? We've never met before, have we? I was shocked that she knew such personal details. Michael was a former classmate whose name she couldn't even remember.
Well, I need you to calm down and listen to me. Michael's sister is saying all kinds of bad things here and there.
It turns out Michael's sister had been bad-mouthing me, saying things like,
"She's a burden, being divorced and infertile."
That's it? She crossed the line.
Michael fumed. The woman added,
"My sister is friends with Michael's sister and she's been hearing all this trash talk about you. I've been divorced and remarried too. And I'm also undergoing fertility treatment, so it's not funny to me. My sister said she's cutting her off."
In this day and age, there are many people who have experienced divorce. I think there are many couples who undergo infertility treatment without telling anyone.
My neighbors are calling me a slut for talking bad about my wife, even though I'm divorced myself. Oh, I'm sorry, even though I'm Michael's sister.
My former classmate added at the end, and both Michael and I laughed bitterly. After our appointment, we went straight to Michael's family home. Since it's Saturday evening and no one is working, everyone will probably be at home.
Dad, we're stopping all financial support. Why should we keep sending money when you're insulting Sandra? You have a pension in retirement funds, and sister-in-law should work,
Michael declared. His parents and sister looked shocked. His sister yelled at me.
"This is your doing, isn't it? You failure of a wife?"
"That's not true," his mom added.
"Are you okay with our grandchildren being homeless?"
"Why should we be responsible for your grandchildren? Aren't you receiving child support?" I asked. She hesitated, then said,
"Raising kids is expensive."
"So why don't you work?" I brought the conversation back to the original point.
"Why should I have to work?"
she screamed. "Why shouldn't you? We're being asked to contribute a whopping $2,000 and you don't have to work?" Everyone fell silent, and Michael burst out laughing.
Exactly. It's high time you get a job. I've been supporting this family for too long. I have no intention of living here or providing future care.
His mom turned pale. "You're abandoning us? Why don't you work, Mom? You're healthy and you can't live on a pension alone, can you?" Sister-in-law was yelling abusive language that I couldn't bear to hear, but I decided to ignore it since it wasn't worth talking about. Father-in-law was also quite reluctant to help, but when Michael told him about sister-in-law, he finally agreed. We decided to stop all financial support. 3 months later, they each called us, begging for at least $500. We blocked their calls. Then they emailed, asking for $300 or even $100 each. We blocked their emails too. I can't fathom why they still think we'll help them financially at this point. Besides, my in-laws and sister-in-law have 2 kids. Even with $200, they can't make ends meet. Don't they have to work? Later, we heard from that former classmate in the neighborhood that my father-in-law started working through an old business connection, and my mother-in-law took up a cleaning job as a senior worker. My sister-in-law is still complaining.
"I have to work because of that failure of a wife."
But that's how it should be. We're not responsible for her and her kids. She's working in a grocery store checkout, but her work ethic is poor, and she keeps getting complaints. We occasionally get long, resentful letters, or pleas for financial help from my mother-in-law, but Michael and I just ignore them, so it's not a problem. We've also succeeded in our fertility treatments and are expecting a child. From now on, let's use our money for our family, I said.
Absolutely. And let's save up so we won't have to rely on our kids in the future.
Michael agreed. With the two of us, everything will be just fine.